Mel Antonen is our next inductee. Terry Nielsen is his presenter.
Mel Antonen. Mel graduated from Hamlin High School in 1974 and Augustana in 1979. He was a national baseball reporter for the USA Today for 24 years. The Lake Norden native covered numerous history-making accomplishments, including Cal Ripken's Ironman Street, the Mark McGwire-Sammy Sosa Home Run Derby, 8 players reaching their 3,000th hit, labor negotiations, and the Players' Strike of 1994, the 1989 Earthquake Series, and the closing of Yankee Stadium, and dozens of other stories on Hall of Famers, including Bob Farrell, Yogi Berra, Stan Musial, and Joe DiMaggio. He also was a contributor to many baseball radio and TV shows. He is a member of the Baseball Writers Association of America and is a Hall of Fame voter. Mel has covered nearly every World Series since 1980. Currently, Antonen writes baseball columns for SI.com and hosts a pregame show on Masson TV, the network that covers the Baltimore Orioles and the Washington Nationals. Mel is also a baseball analyst for Sirius XM Radio.
Yeah, I certainly remember that, Jeff. It's not often reporters get applause, especially nowadays. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you for that video, and congratulations to my fellow inductees. It's always fun to be home in South Dakota. I certainly don't get here as much as I'd like. But this night is a once-in-a-lifetime thrill for me, but I have to say that there's a jolt of disbelief that goes with it. Why me? I had moments, but overall, I didn't do anything spectacular as an athlete. I think I'm here because I found a way to have the ballpark's best seat for free to watch baseball games and get paid for it, and then go on vacation. Pinch myself? No, if I do, I might wake up and realize I have to go to school. And even though these days I do radio and TV, as I have for the last 7 years, I still consider myself a newspaper guy. I can't imagine being anything other than a reporter, an ink-stained wretch. I love newspapers and newspaper reporting. I figured in the more than 3 decades of covering baseball, I've written stories from some 3,200 big league games. And still, I'm not sure I understand the infield fly rule. But I'm proud to be a Lake Norden Blue Jay, a Hamlin Charger, and an Augustana Viking. The memories of playing and coaching in baseball in South Dakota are stamped into my mind forever. And could there be a better foundation for learning baseball than hang out with my dad, Ray, the baseball nut, at state tournaments every August? I was inspired to love baseball by South Dakota's legendary players and the hardworking volunteers that make baseball run in a small town. It's a classic in South Dakota, and their passion for the sport has stuck with me. Tonight, I'm honored to have my family here, but I didn't realize there was going to be cousins from all over. My cousins from Livermore, California came. If I had known that they were all going to be here, I would have spoken some Finnish. I would have prepared something in Finnish. But I do want to introduce my wife, Lisa Nip, and my 10-year-old son, Emmett, who is missing his Capitol Hill Little League opening day game and celebration to be here tonight. He was supposed to pitch opening day, but that has now moved till Tuesday. Thank you all for your support and understanding and why I'm a little nutty sometimes. Lisa, my wife, is a journalist and a photographer from Nashville. She's worked at the Moscow Times covering former Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev. She flew with Al Gore during his 2000 presidential election for the Nashville Tennessean. And she covered the war as a photographer, the war in Kosovo as a photographer. However, those assignments could not have prepared her for the unpredictable rhythms and life in baseball. It's not an exaggeration to say that covering baseball is difficult on family life because of midnight phone calls, 4-week road trips, and constantly changing travel. I don't even want to count how many last-minute changes Lisa's had to make to deal with my job. A rookie shortstop makes an error in Cleveland, and it affects Lisa's weekend. The most cringeworthy moment came in 2007 when I left for 8 weeks of spring training after Emmett was born. Excuse me, Lisa, 10 days, I know. But Lisa has a way of pushing back. Once when I was scrubbing the porch, Reggie Jackson, the Hall of Fame outfielder, called to help me with a story. And Reggie, as you might expect, can be a little bit insistent and doesn't always take no for an answer. But Lisa wanted it her way. So as I was scrubbing the floor, I heard Lisa say, "Reggie, he'll call you back when he's finished scrubbing the floor." When I called him back, he said, "Mel, you've got quite a wife there." Reggie is certainly right about that. You know, there's so many ways to love baseball. You can love it because of stats. You can love it because of history. You can love it because you love the debate of strategy and DH, which has been going on for decades. But I love baseball because it always brings me home. A baseball park, in my mind, is a home. It doesn't matter if it's next to a cornfield, as it is in Lake Norden, or if it's next to a rumbling subway, as it is in New York. My life reflects the power of baseball. One of my earliest memories of Lake Norden baseball was the summer of 1969. I was 12 years old. In March of that year, my mom died of a year-long battle with cancer. But it was baseball, and Lake Norden baseball, with hot dogs and a 10-cent glass of pop and chasing batting practice foul balls on a beautiful summer night, that created diversion from the fearful images of 3 months prior. My mom's tan casket, crying adults, the hearse in front of Trinity Lutheran on an overcast sub-zero day where there was piles of snow in one of South Dakota's worst winters. That summer, my dad was in charge of getting Memorial Park ready for the games, and believe it or not, promoting it. On those quiet summer mornings, my dad and I would get up and set up the sandwich sign that reads, "Baseball tonight, 8 p.m. versus Flandreau," in the middle of an intersection right near Holger's grocery store. Then we'd go to the baseball field to drag and chop weeds and mark the lines for that night's game. At that game, I hung in numbers on inning by inning on the scoreboard in right field. And the next morning, I would call the Watertown Public Opinion, Ron Lenz, who's here tonight, and the Argus leader, Bruce Conley, who's also here tonight, to report the results of the game. That afternoon, as the papers were being delivered, I'd be filled with anticipation to read my reported stories. That started me on a lifetime of loving baseball journalism and loving newspapers. One thing led to another. I wrote feature stories for the Public Opinion in high school for 15 cents an inch. During my Augie days, I covered sports at the Argus Leader. After graduation, I was a farm and political reporter. Then USAT Baseball, CNN, ESPN, MASN, XM, and sometimes SI.com. And so you gotta ask, where would my career be without acronyms? And now I'm here. I have a million stories. My career has gone so fast, I'm not even sure what has happened and what hasn't. Did it really happen that I walked in Fenway Park at left field with Joe DiMaggio one day? During the playoffs one year, did I really go from Yankee Stadium on Saturday to the Oakland Coliseum on Sunday and back to Yankee Stadium on Monday? Did I really eulogize Calvin Griffith, the former Twins owner, at his Washington, D.C. funeral? And did I really visit with Harmon Killebrew was I the last reporter to talk to Harmon Killebrew before he died? It happened in spring training. We were sitting in the Twins dugout, and we talked for about 45 minutes. He was in his street clothes. He'd been watching Justin Morneau take batting practice. And he said, "Mel, I have to go." I said, "Harmon, I'll walk out with you." So we walked out, and we walked through the Twins clubhouse, and there was only one player left there, and that was Tony Oliva. And Tony said, "Hey, Harmon, are you going to be at opening day this year?" And Harmon said, "No, Tony, I don't think I can. I don't feel well." So they gave each other a big hug. And Harmon told Tony, "I love you, buddy." And 3 weeks later, he was dead. I also asked, what if Hall of Famer Bob Feller, before he died, get bored in mid-afternoon and call me to talk baseball? Or better yet, talked to Lisa about planting hollyhocks. From Joe DiMaggio to Dusty Baker and Bryce Harper, I've gotten to meet, interview, and become friends with people that baseball fans around the world would love to know. But those experiences only happened because I grew up around people that, quote, we should all be lucky enough to know. The lessons learned here on the prairie have gone with me and worked beautifully. And tonight, baseball brings me back home once again. This is the community that I love. Thanks for this honor, and here's to growing up in South Dakota.